A fresh breeze in the small car segment with the all-new Nissan Micra, this iconic vehicle throughout the generations, now in the all-new generation. How good is it? Again, with this very friendly face, and on a technological level, it's a brother or sister model to the Renault R5. Where the difference is there, we're going to find out. I'm Thomas, this is Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the, as I said, round face, typical for the Nissan Micra. Interesting how they split here, the daytime running light there, and then a striking blue color. They have very interesting colors here, and then a contrast in black in the lower part, and this is carried out through the side profile. In the higher trim levels, you also get this high gloss black at the B pillar, where it would be a matte black in the entry trim. 3.97 meters or 156 inches is the length here, and 18-inch wheels, either steel or these here in the higher trim, the aluminum wheels. Front wheel drive, and either 122 horsepower or 150 horsepower. And then this is also connected to the battery sizes, where we either have a 40 kilowatt hour battery or a 52 kilowatt hour battery. We have the bigger one here today, and then 8 or 9 seconds in the acceleration figure. Here the 150 horsepower version at 8 seconds. And in the rear, very iconic, this design again with the round tail lamps, and very rarely do we see that they use vehicle body color on the inside of the tail lamps. That's an interesting design idea. And the exterior design is also what makes it most different to the Renault R5. What they have in common there is rather here this C-pillar, and also that the doors are opened right there. That's one example. At the end of the review, because we drive it here today, also do some motorway, 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour test for the concise real-world range. We'll give you an update on that at the end of the review. Here, charging. It's interesting here, these 2 vertical, 3 horizontal stripes. This means Nissan in Japanese. It's very interesting. And then here, 11 kilowatt AC for both, and DC charging also for both. 80 or 100 kilowatt, then 100 for the bigger battery, means in both cases from 15 to 80% state of charge in around 30 minutes. And does it have a frunk or not? Let's take a look. There we go. Nice, likable round hood. And don't have a frunk. Yeah, there would only be a little of space, but at least they used most of the space that they got there. Yeah, let's see then, well painted from the inside of the hood, gotta say though. Let's see in the truck if we have enough space for the cable there very soon. And you see it's very windy here today. I hope it still works with the audio and so on. I want to be even closer to this beautiful sea view there. We have some, overlay shots for that, but there the wind was even stronger, so we moved it a little bit more inward. That's better for you for the sound quality. Now towards the interior end, the Nissan also gets the typical Renault keycard for that. Door closing sound is solid in the front. You can still hear that with the wind. Also quite solid in the rear. Then inside of the doors, all hard-packed materials from the top here, but then here's a little bit softer. It should be softer for your elbow here. This is a leatherette cover, but without any bolstering underneath. Hardback at the inside of the doors here, but classic window levers with a nice galvanized top here. That's actually quite cool. Then the steering wheel. This is of course quite similar to the Renault. Perforation here, animal-free material, feels really high class, pretty cool. Then easy controls for the cruise control. Right side also to change something in the digital instruments, and drive mode selector. Then the seats, this is here the sport trim, so-called sport trim. It means a leatherette and a fabric mix, and some more colorful design choice here as well. There would be a black fabric available also in the so-called comfort trim. And then there's also the Zen trim with a white fabric. Because I took a look here in the booklet, or brochure you would say in German by the way. And there you could see these white fabric Zen seats, and they look pretty amazing. I would like to see them live in action as well. But didn't have the chance yet. Here, headroom with 189, 6 for 2, still enough left. The seats are quite okay. Can be maybe better ones for very tall persons, but that's not the limitation. The limitation is rather with the knees here again. So here, left and right with knees, especially on the right side, it gets a little bit close with my knees. Yeah, that's a typical thing when you have long legs. But overall, since we have the steering wheel adjustment here, they can also get along. And you see here all these columns behind, they move together with the steering wheel. And important, you can set like a my personal or my safety mode in the infotainment system. Then here, press it twice, and then this use speed chime law thing is directly deactivated. Or maybe also you can set that by pressing this, some other things are immediately deactivated. Also, for example, the lane keeping assist, if you're annoyed by that. Now the cockpit overview, really beautifully done here with the soft padded leatherette dashboard here. And this looks really high class, like in a super premium vehicle. Hard pack, however, than here on top. The screen can be shut down with a real knob on top, and also here for the volume on top. On top, that's also possible. 10-inch always on the right. Left side would start 7-inch, and then from the mid-trim level is 10-inch like you see here. And left side normal like for indicator and so on. And then here, this is the shifting lever. And you can see here Renault did it like a lipstick, open lipstick cover. And Nissan said, we don't want that connotation, so we just make it black and black. And then we have it here with the wiper control, and then this typical Renault volume control here. And for recuperation modes at the steering wheel, I will also talk about that later. What's pretty cool is that we here have nice clicking sounds for the climate unit, temperature and fan speed. I love that, and easy to control while driving indeed. Then this open middle console, 2 USB-C chargers, inductive charging pad, not ventilated, and this one you can take out for cleaning purposes, for example. And then we have some cup holders, not adaptive though, but you can have this split, and basic materials here underneath, some more space when you fold this one open. Here, ISOFIX already at the front seat, that is also a practical thing, and the glove box here is properly dampened, and we have all the clutter stored in there in that small glove box here at this moment. And here also manual vents to control, so it's a straightforward user interface indeed. And the digital instruments here with the Google Maps view, or if you don't want that, or if you're not using that in that way, you can also have the classic instrument view like this, so you can be adaptive. And then on the right side, also the Google Maps view, or you go to the vehicle setting. Theoretically, you could also pick the driving modes there. And interesting here for driver assistance, there you can set the personal mode and here configure it. And then, for example, the overspeed warning off and the lane departure off, and then just 2 clicks on the left side. And of course, you could also use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now to the rear seats. First of all, the doors, hard pack everywhere, you see. And then the seats, same materials here in the rear, that's cool. ISOFIX can be folded up like this, and you can access. It's also eligible for 5 people actually, but the limits are here. When I'm driving as a tall person, then you see I don't really fit in here. Now Leah is already having fun, and you guys hopefully as well. And headroom wise, it's close, definitely very close, but headroom is easier than the legroom, so to speak. What's cool that you have this gray seating from the inside, and then you have this stand-in structure. That's pretty cool, isn't it? And also here, these lights, that's actually interesting. So you can just tap them, and then you can, activate them or not. So of course, considering the length of the car, you're limited at some point, that's no wonder. Trunk or boot is at 330 liters. Let's open it up. And I just want to show you here, this is how you fit 2 suitcases in. That's the creative way to do that actually. And then let's see. Well, the cable is just flying around because that's how it is. Then here we have a little bit less than 1 meter or 40 inches in width, and the length here in the bottom part is about 26 inches or 67 centimeters. And when we fold the seats here, 2/3, 1/3 split, this is like 50 inches or 1 meters and 27. And last but not least, the height here on the highest point, 33 inches or 83 centimeters. So it's of course a tiny vehicle. That's just it. But I mean, when you leave the cable at home maybe and charge at the wall box, maybe like that, then you have a little bit more space. By the way, here underneath, so there is a small space here, but that would not fit a normal size charging cable. Here, however, it does fit the vehicle to load adapter. That's interesting. So for gadgets outside, standard padding board, inflating it or something, this goes into the charging port from the outside. So cool feature. Let's start driving in Nissan Micra, starting with city driving, something this car is really designed to do. And we're here in downtown Rotterdam in the Netherlands. So we can activate or deactivate, by the way, easily all these speed chime beeps, 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 and so on. You can set your my personal safety mode and then easily deactivate it here at the left side of the steering wheel. So that's a good thing. And the driving modes, starting here in comfort, they will not change the suspension or so. But what's interesting is that in the eco mode, there the power is significantly reduced and you also have a way lower maximum speed. This is when you're maybe afraid that you won't reach your destination battery wise. All other modes basically have the same power. In the sport mode, just the throttle input is a little bit increased, but they will all have the same power than when you really hit the floor on the accelerator pedal, we have to say here. Just the eco mode has this reduction. And well, with this small car, sometimes you have situations like these. You're suddenly stuck in traffic where you maybe didn't expect it, but at least it's a small car then, and you can maybe sneak in here and there. So that makes it actually a little bit less stressful than when being in the city traffic. Let's also see about the recuperation. We can set it here on the pedals and also activate the one pedal driving. And let's see if it's a true one pedal driving. So here we just follow that vehicle. You can also here make it more to the rolling. So here we have it on the minimum level. It's just rolling, rolling, rolling. And then I use the decelerator pedal just with the brake pedal. So, or one pedal driving. Let's see. Let's get close to the Polestar in front of us and see if we can come to a full stop. That was a little bit too. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Now I didn't use the brake. Now one more time. Yeah, so full one pedal driving, coming to a full stop. That works actually. So you can just define yourself how you want it. What's interesting is, does it save it? Let's see. Let's shut down the vehicle. Let's activate it again. Let's see. Put in a drive mode. No, I'm not on the one pedal driving. See here, car is also then creeping forward when I lift the brake. It is actually on second level indeed. Yeah. So, but the one pedal, you also hear that chime always. You have to activate the one pedal driving yourself. So that's all quite often the case. I mean, there are some cars, meanwhile, which have all these recuperation modes homologated. But most cars, most manufacturers decide between certain modes which are like officially registered with the driving cycle and so on. Here, once again, you have to activate the one pedal mode then intentionally. And let's do some acceleration on the motorway. That was 50 to 100 kilometers an hour. We have here the stronger version, the 150 horsepower version with the bigger battery, the 52. I was thinking in German now because there you turn the numbers around. Crazy German language thing. So 52 kilowatt hours battery with 150 horsepower. Of course, then you have a little bit more punch. The acceleration figure is actually only 1 second in the difference because the smaller battery is also less in weight. So it's 8 seconds and 9 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. And here on the motorway, I would say at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, still quite okay from the noise insulation. Probably because it doesn't stand so much against the wind. It is extremely windy today outside, gotta say. And considering that, I think it's still okay, right? You know. Also, nice insulated roof. We shown that to you earlier with this nice design there. So that's actually quite cool. The chassis is the suspension is set rather stiff and sporty. In the city, maybe sometimes you want more comfort. Here on the motorway, of course, it gives you stability. So also when I do a lane change here now, that feels really good. So it is small in the city and you can sneak in and out somewhere here and there. But at the same time, because it has it feels like a more grown-up car on the motorway, like how it handles, it kind of feels safe and stable. It's not that, some cheap small vehicles, they're good in the city, but then when you drive them a little bit faster, I feel like, it doesn't feel that good. But here, that's totally not the case. So it feels really settled on the road and calm as well, but also fun. And you have this go-kart feeling, comparable, for example, also to Mini, just that Mini, of course, is way more expensive even. But here it actually feels quite good on the motorway. So that's interesting. Sport mode here, I like that they have a little bit more feedback from the steering. It's more about the throttle input than, that the total output of power, as I said earlier, is the same. So you can just as well go back then, for example, to the comfort mode, depending on what you prefer. But the sport mode will only use more energy if you really, hit the throttle then more, or may not be, if you're not more gentle with the throttle then. And here you can see also the consumption goes a little bit higher than. We'll give you an update later with the consumption figures with the total overall average. But here at the moment, when we're just keeping it rolling at 1 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, seems to be stuck at about 16 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. So that's an interesting fact and figure for now. The only thing I might not take a longer road trip in this one is more the offering of space for tall people. As I said earlier, here with knees, right and left, it's close for me. Tall legs and so on, or long legs, and seating position is maybe not the most ideal one. But if you're a little bit smaller, then it's actually no problem. I really think that it feels quite good in changing lanes and so on. So I'm very positively surprised by that. So it seems that they, like this Renault collaboration chassis, which is also used for the R5 and for the longer R4 in many parts, seems to be doing a quite good job, and it's really good in the driving. It's really fun to drive. I really like it, So steering could be in the comfort mode a little bit heavier to me, but it's also a matter of preference. For example, Leah likes it when the steering is really easy and light to control. You can also test some assistance systems. So you can also choose between, for example, the active assist. There we go. And now we have the control to the distance, and we also have the active steering. And the motorway will do a slightly left bend. Now let's see how the car does that. How do you feel in this one? It's good? Yeah. Just in the city, you said you were a little bit because of I mean, it's quick, it's really quick. So as a driver, you have to be gentle that your passengers don't get overwhelmed by the speed and then braking again and so on. Let's see here, the active lane keeping assist. So far, not too hectic, kind of smooth how it follows here the lane. That's nice. Yeah, so that's cool. And blind spot monitor, let's see, there's a red dot. It could be maybe a little bit more visible, but at least you have that. So not sure, I think you can't see it from any camera angle, but there's like a red dot in the side mirrors, and then when I also hit the turning indicators, it starts flashing. So that's also a helpful thing. So good also as for the assistance systems. And since we're in the Netherlands here today, we can't drive much quicker. Maybe we have to return to Germany at some point and really go high-speed motorway. You can see how it looks like in the dark. There's some ambient lighting here, and also in the lower part. Then you can see also very well the Google Maps display, switching it to the night mode. It's also good that it's not too bright when driving at nighttime. Pretty cool that we have the integrated Google Maps here, which also has then the included route planning for the charging stops. And yeah, you don't have to use the data from your smartphone, it's directly integrated. It's also quite responsive and so on. And you can also see I can directly have it in the instruments and not only in the central infotainment system. So, I mean, besides that, I don't have too much space as a tall person here in that small car, which is a natural thing for that vehicle size. It's actually performing pretty good on the motorway, and yeah, it's relaxing enough, so to speak. And of course, when you return to the city, you can go for your go-kart city racing once again. As for pricing, starts at 28,000 euros. That's a little bit more expensive than the Renault R5, but then this one also includes a little bit more. And then 33,000 euros with the big battery and 35,000 euros in the high trim here. And then you can add some extras. Yeah, Volkswagen, for example, promises that they will offer the VW ID Up. That's how they will call it now, at the lower price entry, about 20,000 euros. So we have to see about that, and of course also about the leasing prices. But it's very interesting that in the higher trims, this one here is a couple of thousand euros less expensive than the Renault R5. So yeah, we got to see then, of course, about the leasing rates, Renault versus Nissan and so on, because the visual is the main difference on the exterior predominantly here. Then as for the consumption, we first tested Autobahn, like 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and there we could score some 15 kilowatt hours on the 100 kilometers. So like 4 miles per kilowatt hour means a real world range for the big battery of around 350 kilometers or 220 miles. If you go for more city countryside driving, we could even have the consumption lower at about 13 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, which is also a realistic use case for this vehicle. And then you can score with the big battery also some 400 kilometers, 250 miles. Of course, way less if you go more in the high speed, which is maximum speed, by the way, 150 kilometers an hour. That would be VMAX. And then this is not predominantly like the high-range Autobahn vehicle. I think that should already be quite clear. I had some limitations because I'm a tall person. Then, of course, the small car, it's maybe not ideal to sit, with the knees inside and so on. But to me, the biggest positive surprise is that it's so much fun to drive. It handles very well, and it's a lot of fun, even on the motorway, even at higher speeds, very stable. And this is not calm from the wind, but the driving was really stable and calm. That was pretty cool and most impressed me actually overall. And now you should check out the brother or sister model from Renault, the R5, or even the slightly longer R4.